And good evening, everyone. I hope you are well. This is Justin from the RAP Institute. It is September 26th, 6 p.m. Central European Time. It is noon Eastern, and I know some people are time zone illiterate. So if you're Central, you're 11, so on and so forth. So anyway, I am super happy that you're streaming in right now. We at the RAP Institute love sharing information, tips and tricks, and this topic for me is a very special one. Dry apply PPF, it is something literally I've been dreaming about for 3 or 4 years, finally coming to the market at a scale that is like, okay, now game on. And so we're going to go deep on this topic of dry apply PPF, and I'll explain, why I like it, why I'm super excited about it, what it means for the industry. We're streaming right now on YouTube, Facebook, and also the RAP Institute website. So I really encourage all of you watching right now, please ask questions. We have our whole team monitoring right now. I'm kind of listening on my ear, so be able to answer your questions live, real time. This is going to be recorded, and then it's going to go on the RAP Institute, stay on YouTube as well. Very cool topic, very apropos, because a lot of companies are coming out with dry apply PPF, especially 3M launched it this week, so very good timing. And so with that, let's get into it. And for these live streaming events right now, what we try to do at the RAP Institute is we try to give a little bit of news for the week, just so you're kind of up to date on kind of what's going on in the industry, and then obviously get deep into dry apply PPF. And one thing that happened last week that I think is really cool right now is Avery Dennison launched their new color change film last week, or three new colors. This is not dry apply, keep that in mind, but just new colors. And they're really cool colors. Actually, back in January, I was at Avery Dennison headquarters for the trainer event. I'm still an Avery Dennison trainer as well as work for the RAP Institute. And I saw these samples and I was like, oh, they're pretty good. They're interesting right now. But I'm telling you, Brittany, who works for Avery Dennison, who's in charge of the color line, she was spot on. We actually did the promo videos for Avery Dennison on these colors, and I wrapped this BMW. Actually, a really good video on the RAP Institute coming out soon about wrapping that front bumper. Really tricky, good tips and tricks there. But the colors are really cool, and the names are great. We got like Pool Party Pink. I think this purple one, I believe I'm going to look really here before Pop Star Concert Purple. Really good. I think Taylor Swift would like that one. But really cool colors. So these are new colors from Avery Dennison. So definitely check them out. They're really, really good. And then obviously what's going on in the rap industry, I think is big. There's a lot of shows happening right now. And Rap Fest is next week. Well, I'll talk about it in a second. But this one is really good. This is actually happening right now in Mexico, FESPA Mexico. And what we love about this show, obviously, is great for the industry in terms of knowing products. But the rap contest going down there, and I know Raphael, who is part of the Rap Institute endorsed trainers, he's there doing his thing. So definitely check out that show if you're in Mexico City. Curious who the winner is. Then what we also have this week, or is going on next week, is Rap Fest. Rap Fest is a show at Silverstone, and if you're an F1 fan, you know what Silverstone is, a legendary racetrack within the industry of F1. So basically the idea right now is that's a big show next week. Definitely check out Rap Fest if you're there. Our whole team's going to be there. We have presentations. The Bing Bing contest that we have is part of the Rap Warrior contest. The daily prize that we're giving away is over $1,000. So definitely check that out. It's super fun. So those are the news for today. But for me, I want to get right into the presentation because the presentation is juicy this week, and that is dry apply PPF. So basically the game plan that we have going into this presentation today is this. So you're going to be covering a wide range of topics. And again, if you have questions, feel free to drop them in YouTube, Facebook, and even on the website, and we're going to be answering right away. So that being said, the topics we're going to tackle right now are: what is dry apply PPF, if you don't quite know exactly what it is; who is currently making it, which I think is good to know; the properties of dry apply PPF, which is very important to dial in. I know my partner Reiner Lawrence we just did a dry apply PPF video series, and it's very interesting how it goes on. Install tips, pricing tips, which is really important because the cost of dry apply PPF is sometimes pretty darn high. I'll talk about the warranty, talk about what videos we have on the RAP Institute library that can help you really dial in dry PPF super quick. SEMA, talk about what materials are going to be shown at SEMA, so you can look forward to that if you're going. And then talk about the future of dry apply PPF in terms of extruded and cast. And if you're like, what the hell does that mean? I'm going to explain that in just a little bit. So those are the topics we're going to cover. You can tell we're going to cover a lot. So with that, let's get to the first topic, which is really, important to know. And with the RAP Institute, we always try to educate you not only in how to install, but also to have that knowledge behind the install. That's what we think is a true professional. So dry apply PPF is a colored PPF. It's not clear. Clear dry apply PPF, I don't see coming for the near future, because if it's dry apply PPF and it's clear, you're going to see every squeegee stroke, and for the most part, it's not going to come out. So dry apply PPF is color PPF. So it's just like PVC color change film, but it's, what's different, is obviously the thickness, and we'll talk about that. But the main thing is dry apply PPF, how it differs than regular PPF is just like PVC color change PPF. This one has air egress and repositionable technology, which is interesting. It has a top coating, which is different than PVC color change film. And that top coating generally has a lot of ceramic coating properties. It has self-healing in terms of scratches, which is really cool. Most of the dry apply PPF right now is in matte or satin, which I'll explain in a little bit. The surprise for me this week to see the volume of it was gloss dry apply PPF. It's a tricky one, and we'll talk about it a little bit, but for the most part, most manufacturers are doing matte satin dry apply PPF. 3M is the only one that I know at this point who has gloss, so that's good to know. So basically from there, right, let's get into who is currently making dry apply PPF. Now, you've heard dry apply PPF maybe in the last couple of years. Some of the companies who make dry apply PPF, or it's not technically dry apply PPF, it hasn't been. It's kind of been a hybrid. So it's been kind of like a sandwich of, let's say, calendar or cast PVC color change film, and then there's laminated PPF on top. So it's kind of like a hybrid, but what we're talking about this week and what is now really coming on the market strong is true dry apply PPF, like true PU, bottom to top PU, which is really, really cool. So who's making it right now, kind of on a scale enough to really kind of mention in this first round of dry apply PPF, presentations that we're going to give, is 3M, Inezotech, Skyful, you may not have heard about them, but definitely check them out, Lumar, and Evolve. So those are the companies that we're going to talk about. So let's first just kind of break down the type of materials that these companies are making right now. So right now, Evolve. Evolve is a company, they're based in Florida. They're actually the official distributor of APA or APA, however you say the name in America. They make a lot of interior film. They sell cover style film, for example, and they actually have one version of gloss black PPF dry apply. So they have that. Not a huge range, but they definitely stock it. So if you're interested in that, check them out. Who also has dry apply PPF right now is Inezotech. We've been making videos for Inezotech for quite some time. We made some of their training videos and also some of their promo videos and product videos. And they have a dry apply PPF, which is really, really cool. So they had their original film that they had that was basically like a PVC color change film. Then they had wet apply color change PPF film, and now they have dry apply color change PPF film. And this particular one right now, it's funny, Michael Altall from Yellow Tools is calling, but I'll call him after this stream. So basically, these are the colors that Inezotech has. And as you can see, as I mentioned earlier, they're all basically satin and mattes. So basically just, kind of staying away from gloss, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But they have a wide range, a good selection right now. And the colors, Inezotech is known for having amazing colors. And these are definitely good ones right now. Now we'll switch to, again, very interesting company to come into the dry apply PPF game. And you're not surprised by it. But, we actually were helping develop this product for Lumar and Eastman for quite some time. And I've seen the kind of progress and development of this particular material. So it's nice to see that it's kind of in beta test this year in 2023 with all their endorsed shops. And now at SEMA, they're going to officially not launch it in front of the public right now. And I think it's going to be open for people buying it starting in early 2025. So Lumar actually has a dry apply PPF. And we'll talk about pricing and the benefits and stuff like that. But again, Lumar is part of the Eastman Group, and you know that they have a very, very robust, training program. Their materials are really good, giant company, and they do really well. So they're taking dry apply PPF quite seriously, and they're betting on it quite big. And as a lot of you probably know, this week they officially announced, 3M, their dry apply PPF, and this has been a long time coming as well. It's very interesting that dry apply PPF, I can't say when they're kind of hoping to launch it, but then it's just definitely just taking longer for these companies to get it to market for a wide variety of different type of reasons. Nothing very super specific, but 3M launched their color change PPF film this week, dry apply. And they actually, again, what I mentioned earlier, surprisingly came out with quite a few gloss PPF films. And I shall again explain why. They have a couple mattes. They have some of the color flips and stuff like that, but predominantly gloss, which is interesting. I know definitely some guys who are beta testing this, and they said it's legit in terms of quality, looks like paint and stuff like that. So again, those are the companies that have dry apply PPF, which is interesting. So now with that, let's go deeper. Again, that's what the Rap Institute is all about, is talking about properties of dry apply PPF. Now, dry apply PPF is similar, obviously, because it's just like gloss or transparent PPF PU film. This is around 8 mil thick. Generally, PU films is between 8 and 12 mil, depending on the brand. So definitely thick, 200 micron. Because it's true PU film, it has that rubbery feel, so it's different than PVC. And what's interesting, especially now that it's dry apply, it didn't necessarily apply so much in terms of wet installs per se, especially if you're doing templates, didn't matter that much. But for dry apply PPF, it's very important to understand that it stretches in 4 directions. Generally, cast PVC film stretches in 2 directions, generally in how they make it. But generally, PU film is going to stretch in 4 directions, which if you know that, it's actually a very good thing. If you don't know it, it can be really difficult, especially when you're wrapping, let's say, compound curves. A lot of it has a top coating, which is awesome. It helps with aftercare and kind of long-term protection. But especially with those metallics, if you stretch PU film that has a top coat on it, it can crack and it can cause it to damage it, and that doesn't necessarily self-heal. So you do have to stretch it in a different way. What's cool about it, just like PVC film self-heals over if you have a scratch or wrinkle, you pick it up and you add heat. PU film, if you get a wrinkle or something like that, you just literally pick it up and hold it, and it actually kind of shrinks and self-heals itself just naturally, which is pretty nice. What's very important to know, and something that you should definitely think about, though, is that I've noticed so far with the first initial rounds of dry apply PU film is the initial tack of the film is generally medium to high. So it's not that like kind of easy slide and glide, let's say like Avery Dennison or Cheetah Wrap. It's actually kind of, it's a little tricky to get on, especially for hoods and roofs. And we'll talk about how to kind of solve that later. So that being said now, so we'll get to specifications of the film and just kind of how to understand and how to see the film. So this film has a PET liner for the most part. It has the base layer, which is the adhesive and stuff like that, the color layer, the PU layer, and then the top coat. So it's kind of a lot, it's a little bit more complicated than a standard PVC film, but just is generally how you want to kind of see it. And as you can see, and this is the specifications for an Esotec right now, you can see the thickness of the film, you can see the top coat, you can see a lot of stuff going on. So always want to dial on that product information. Mentioned earlier that there's that company Skyfall right now, and again, we just made the product video for them. You can see the thickness, 200 micron. You can see the elongation, 300, depends on, again, what type of film you're working with right now. Again, that adhesive has got air egress, is repositionable and stuff like that. And the shelf life is pretty standard compared to most films right there. So that's for Skyfall. And then here what we got is right now we got the 3M product information. Again, always dial that information. And we'll talk more about it later, but we'll get into the warranty. You can see like 10-year warranty, interesting type of stuff. Self-healing, 70% thicker than normal wrap film. So really dial that in. So now that you kind of have a better understanding of the film of dry apply PPF, now let's get to install tips and tricks. And this is what I'm going to cover because it's very important. And this is what the Rapid Institute is here to provide you, is these great install tips and tricks. We have cutting that we're going to go over, stretching, how to do overlaps, how to do inlays and overlays. That kind of ties in with overlaps a little bit. Corners and triple S. And we'll begin with cutting right now. And the cutting with dry apply PPF is it's like a mix between PVC color change film, but it's also a mix between regular PU film, either gloss or, matte, kind of clear. The idea right now is you have to find the sweet spot. So what's interesting, first and foremost, that you have to understand is that with this film, because it's PU and it's thicker, 8 mil, most knifeless tape, design line, finish line, will not cut through PU film. 3M does have the precision line. Unfortunately, with precision line, and again, it's not I'm not trying to, do anything kind of negative, but it's just the fact, precision line still has issues with it being perfectly straight. And so with clear PU film, if the cut's not perfectly straight, especially if you say you're wrapping underneath the hood, it's not the end of the world because it's clear. But because of color change right now, those cuts have to be super straight. So even with precision line, it can be a little tricky. So we at the Rapid Institute so far are kind of saying, well, let's focus more on hand cutting. So that means getting the right blade. So the right blade so far, again, Reiner was doing the videos, and I noticed that Reiner was using a 30-degree stainless steel or a 30-degree carbon blade. So we highly recommend those type of blades because it's a little bit more precise for cutting. And the biggest thing is you're going to score the film. And oftentimes you're going to be cutting directly on the surface quite a bit, which is, I know a lot of wrap shops don't like to do that. But with dry apply color change PPF, you're going to have to cut directly on the surface quite a bit. So for those type of cuts, if you need to have a precise cut, Reiner shows on a lot of videos, and I'll show those in a little bit, of using fine line tape, and that's this blue tape where you can create a nice shape on the body line, and then you can use the blade alongside that fine line tape to get a good cut. So again, very different cutting protocol. So it's definitely advanced. And keep in mind on the Wrap Institute, and as I said, we have a lot of videos on the Wrap Institute now about dry apply PPF, so we have good playlists on them. We have one video specifically just for cutting on dry apply PPF, so I highly recommend checking that out. So that's a good tip for you. Now let's move on to stretching for dry apply PPF. Now stretching with dry apply PPF is very interesting because obviously you have to get into recessed areas, compound curves like mirrors and bumpers. The thing is though, you can't use a lot of heat. Because if you use a lot of heat right now, heat and PU film don't like each other, especially like heat guns, IR heaters, and stuff like that. Maybe steamer, but you don't want to get the adhesive wet, so steamer's not a good choice either. So we've recommended at the Wrap Institute using a wide variety of techniques and kind of want to think about it like judo. I remember I was just at the Wrap Institute about a month ago. Reiner was wrapping an M2 BMW for Skyfall as the part of the product video. And, I walked in the center, he's like, come over. And he was wrapping I think he was wrapping the rocker panel all the time, and he was kind of showing me how he had heat, as how he forms it in, and it was like watching someone like doing judo. And that's why I kind of think like with dry apply PPF, you have to approach it like judo. You have to kind of form it and kind of take it at different angles that you're not used to doing with PVC color change film, for one. The palm technique, which I invented the palm technique in 2016 of forming the film into the recessed areas first, can't really do that so well with dry apply PPF because of the dynamics of the PU, especially with the gloss film, and it might kind of get some adhesive lines and stuff like that. So tricky because you don't want to overstretch it and have it pop out. So you're going to have to make a lot of relief cuts. So keep in mind with relief cuts with dry apply PPF, especially if it's a metallic film, if you use a standard relief cut, it's going to split and really, really easy. So you want to make sure you make enclosed relief cuts, otherwise you're in trouble. So definitely have to make relief cuts, but make the right one. And as I said earlier, we have lots of great videos on the Wrap Institute for this. So definitely check out the video that we have dedicated just to how to apply recessed areas. So again, we're really focusing on fundamentals for dry apply PPF with our new website. So now we move on to overlaps. Now overlaps, you're thinking color change. Do we have to have a lot of overlaps? Yeah, you do. With dry apply color change PPF, it's thicker, has a different type of stretch. So like on bumpers, even on mirrors and stuff like that, I would recommend doing them in multiple pieces. So you're going to have overlaps. So what's very, very, very important to understand is that because of that top coat with dry apply PPF now that you don't have with PVC color change film, that top coat, whether it's matte, satin, or gloss, has an extremely low surface energy, which is good for aftercare, but shitty for overlaps. So for overlaps right now, you really have to prep them. Now, normally, if you're working with a matte film, for example, you would take alcohol, put it on the base layer, raise the surface energy, put the piece on top, and you're good. That's PVC color change film. But for dry apply PPF, you can't do that. You're going to have to use a butane torch. You're like, butane torch? And it's like, yeah, totally different ballgame right now. So with dry apply PPF, we have a dedicated video just on how to create overlaps with dry apply PPF. And it's really, really interesting. And it does require a butane torch. So definitely check out that video. And as you can see, you really need to dial dry apply PPF in. Now we get to inlays and overlays, and I said earlier they're kind of integrated in terms of those overlaps and prep. You have to have a good game plan. You really have to know where to hide the body lines, how to make sure it looks like one piece without it being one piece. Try to use as many pre-cut pieces as possible to limit the direct cuts directly on the body. You want to make sure you prep the overlap, again, with that butane torch. And you also want to manage customer expectations. Don't just drop, 6 inlays on a bumper and then the customer's like, dude, why are there so many inlays here? Talk to them about why there should be inlays there or why you're making inlays and say, this makes sense for this particular car. Manage your expectations ahead of time as opposed to try to work out of it afterwards. And that's one of the things about being a professional and what the Wrap Institute is all about. So more inlays and overlays than normal with dry apply PPF, more cutting directly on the surface, and try to use templates, which is super, super smart. So again, dedicated video just on dry apply PPF on the website. Now we get to everyone's favorite topic when it comes to color change right now is corners. Corners for dry apply PU are really interesting. And I said earlier, kind of like color change PVC film and PPF film are kind of integrated with dry apply PPF. And that's definitely the case here where you need a really strong corner game with no wrinkles with dry apply PPF, but it's not PVC where you're doing cold pre-stretch or you're doing, the matrix corners. You're kind of doing a PU corner, but you're not really going to use a heat gun too much just to kind of warm the adhesive a little bit. What you have to think about is really cutting those corners clean, but deep enough. So like empty cut logic open, and there's videos on the Wrap Institute explaining that. And then to finish them off, just to make sure that that corner kind of melts onto the corner a little bit, you have to use a little kiss of butane torch. So again, lots of good techniques, and Reiner shows all these on the Wrap Institute library, so definitely check them out. And earlier I talked about, if you've been with the stream so far, and I hope you've been with it for the whole time, and don't forget to leave comments. Leave comments on YouTube, Facebook, and also the Wrap Institute live stream. We're definitely checking those comments, so I'd love to answer your questions right now. The biggest thing, as I talked about, is that medium to high initial tack. I think they're putting the medium-high initial tack on the film right now because the film is so thick and they want to make sure it holds in those areas. Again, I don't know exactly why, but definitely have seen the trend right now is not super low initial tack. We got that medium-high. So what we highly recommend at the Wrap Institute, and this is one of the reasons why we developed this product, Triple S, is as a low-tack solution that it works with all types of adhesives. This is a very scientific product right now. And so we worked with all these brands. And so for dry apply PPF, I cannot recommend Triple S anymore because you can put it under the vinyl or on the main surface to lower the surface energy. You don't necessarily need to use it on your squeegee because this stuff self-heals, but as aftercare, Triple S works very good with Tri-Apply PPF. But the biggest thing is now it's going to make the install easier. So if you don't know about Triple S right now, I highly recommend getting into Triple S, dialing in this solution right now and playing with it. On some sections you might use it on the whole section, some sections you might use it just on the body line. And again, Triple S is something that I've been using nonstop for years now, and for about 2 years, it's on my tool belt the whole time. For dry apply PPF, I think it's the magic solution. So that being said, those are the properties of the material, stuff that you need to dial in. Now we get to a big one that I think is something that people are actually talking about quite a bit, is price. So price right now for dry apply PPF is a different ball game than, let's say, PVC color change film. That pricing has been very established in the market because that type of material has been around for years. Dry apply PPF is totally new, and as you'll see in a little bit, especially when it comes to pricing with the manufacturers that I mentioned earlier, an Exotech, 3M, we got Skyful, we got Evolve and stuff like that. The pricing is wildly different. Very interesting. So right now, okay, the pricing for the material. The price for the material, as you'll see, is double, triple, quadruple the cost of PVC color change film, sometimes quintuple. It's crazy how expensive dry apply PPF is right now. The idea right now is, again, what we try to teach, especially for Wrap Institute members right now, is being a professional, how to wrap, how to understand the film, but also how to price. So the biggest thing is right now, as an installer, a wrap shop and stuff like that, you have to be able to sell dry apply PPF properly. So you're going to tell the customer, yes, it costs way more for the material than, let's say, PVC, but what does it do? You're spending money to save. And what are they saving on? Well, truth is, dry apply PPF looks way better than PVC color change film because there's very little orange peel. The depth of color is absolutely amazing. The mattes are matte. The glosses are gloss. The satins are satins. Pretty stunning. It looks like paint for sure. Biggest thing is it's easier to maintain, and that comes from the top coat. So that top coat has a lot of built-in properties in terms of scratch resistance, hydrophobicity, all that kind of stuff. So it's great for cleaning. True OEM protection. So, PVC color change film does protect it from the vehicle from scratches and minor damage, but we all know that if a rock chip comes, especially in the wintertime, that rock chip might go through the film and damage the car. So now with dry apply PU film, because it's 8 mil thick, it's polyurethane right now, has that rubbery feel, much better OEM protection. So they're spending more to save on that OEM paint protection. And the biggest thing is that you want to think about big picture, and this is stuff that you should even talk to about your clients. I'm guessing dry apply PU is going to come off much easier in 4 to 5 years, 6 years, 7 years than PVC color change film. It's not going to break up into tiny little pieces because of the better warranty that you're going to get with polyurethane film. So definitely think about that. So with that right now, what I like to do is take a sip of my drink, because now I'm about to show you something that was really interesting for me because I knew it was going to be expensive, but I didn't think it was going to be this expensive. 3M. So this is a screenshot of Feller's catalog right now. And Feller's on the catalog has the price of 3M film. As you can see right now, it is very expensive. So $3,275 for, I just chose a random color right now. That's pretty expensive. And I know in Canada, I saw the one feed in Canada the other day. I mean, I know the Canadian dollar is, super weak. But I mean, just to see it in Canadian, it was just like, holy crap, that's just for the material. So this material is more expensive than chrome. All right. What is nice about 3M, though, I will throw that out. It is a legit 25-yard roll, so you get full thing, so there's no chance of running out of the material. But 3M's film is by far and away the most expensive film on the market. Now, I was talking to the team at Lumar yesterday, getting an idea of how much the material is going to be. And basically got the feedback was it's going to be $7 a square foot. So for a 25-yard roll, that comes out to about $2,625, I'm guessing. So hopefully I did my math right. But basically that's going to be how much the roll from Lumar is going to be. And that's going to be obviously just for their network for a while. Now we move on to a Nesotech. And a Nesotech, if you go into their catalog right now, this is how much a roll of Nesotech costs, just over $1,500 right now. And that, keep in mind though, that's an 18-yard roll. So slightly different, or 18 meter maybe. So you're getting less. So, but still doesn't quite come up to the 3M price, but think about adding an extra 7 yards. How much would that be? So that's definitely interesting. And here's the cheapest one, which is very, very interesting right now. This is Skyfold. Now, this is a company that's in Europe, and they've been making PPF film for years. And they have 3 different types of PPF film. And Reiner was very impressed by this. So we'll talk about what types of film they have right now, but you can see really cheap. So this is, again, 18-meter roll, very similar to the Nesotech right now, but it's $1,080 per roll, and that price includes shipping to any location in the United States in 48 hours. That is pretty darn cheap. And the blue vehicle that you saw and all the vehicles that you see on the Rapid Institute library, that is Skyfold. So it's a very interesting material. So definitely check it out. So based on that now, what we highly recommend right now, sorry, I'll go back to Skyfold. I realized I forgot to put that to stream right now. So we'll come back to this pricing just so you can see it. So this company, again, Skyfold, you got it right there. You got the information. Again, they have 3 different types. They have the extruded range, and we'll talk about extruded versus cast in a little bit. That's PPF clear. Then they have the cast range. PPF has a little bit of color and stuff like that, but that's wet apply. Then they have the air channeled, and that's the one that we show in the videos on the Rapid Institute. That's the PPF Wrap AC series, and they have 8 colors in that particular one. But the biggest thing is, and I hear that we have a question from Kaio. Kaio. It's DOD. VOD. What is VOD? I didn't even know what VOD is. Okay. So the question is, will this video be available VOD? So the person who asked the question has to explain, or Kaio, you have to Google really quick what VOD means. And that just, if you don't know, you don't know. So let me know what that means. And Kaio, then I will happily answer that question with a smile. How's that? Very cool. So based on that right now, the Rapid Institute has great resources for you, and I really want you to pay attention to this. Is if you're a member of the Rapid Institute, whether you're silver, gold, or platinum, you have access to our downloads, and one of the downloads is our color measurement form. And we highly recommend that you do this, especially for those films, let's say an Nesotech and Skyfold. If you're only getting 18 meters, it gets very sweaty because sometimes you get down to that end of the roll and you hopefully don't run out. So we hopefully recommend that you measure the material ahead of time, and you can download this for free if you're a member. So definitely check it out. So now, for those of you who are in the wrap industry and you do color change film and you've been doing PVC for years, you know the real deal is, especially on those hoods and roofs, if you're in those, like let's say you're in Australia, you're in Texas, you're in Florida, California, some of those hoods and roofs can cook pretty darn quick. So your customers are generally maybe getting like 1 or 2 years out of the hood and roofs before they go bye-bye. Yep. Yes, it will. So this is a particularly special video series stream that we want to do because we've been excited about dry apply PPF. So this video will be on our YouTube channel, and you can watch it all you want. 20, 30 times, just loop it. So do your thing. So it will be available. So yes, to that question. So now coming back to warranty right now, so as I come back to PVC color change film, hoods and roofs cook pretty quick. The color fades if you want to swap out the panels. Sometimes they don't match. It can be really frustrating. So why I personally have been really excited about dry apply PPF for years is the fact that the warranty. You're generally going to get 5 to 10 years from the warranty on these films, and that includes horizontal. Like I talked to Daryl at Lumar yesterday in an email back and forth, and I said, okay, 5-year warranty, and he's like, 5-year warranty. I'm like, horizontal? He's like, horizontal, and I'm like, that's fucking cool, because basically what it means now is these customers are now getting a value. We come back to the sales right now. Is yes, you're going to pay more for the film. Depends, maybe double, maybe triple, maybe quadruple. But the idea right now is you're getting a product that's legitimately going to last 5 to 6 years, maybe longer, in terms of weathering, in terms of sun, and you know the verticals are going to last much longer. That makes me happy because I love the color change game. The one pain point for me was aftercare and warranty and holding up. So this is something that solves that dramatically, especially on those horizontals. And again, coming back to removals, it's one thing that people don't talk about is kind of like a the bastard child of the industry right now is removals. Removals are one of those things where you don't want to hand your client a $1,000, $2,000 removal bill for a wrap on top of a wrap that only lasted 2 years. That's bad for the industry. I mean, I wouldn't want to pay 3 or 4 grand for a wrap that I then had to pay an extra 1 or 2 grand to take off. So that's one of the another reasons why I like dry apply PPF is it's great for customers. It's better for the environment, less chemicals used. PU is in many ways a better product to make for the environment, so that's a good thing. So dry apply PPF is just hitting all the sweet spots on so many levels right now. So again, for those of you, yes, Kyle? Mm. Mm. Good question. So the question is right now, if you wrap a car that has like, let's say cracked paint, stuff like that, if you wrap over the top, will it show? Now, if you asked me this before this episode, and this was just a PVC color change film, which is generally 4 mil thick, would you see those cracks and stuff through it? 100% because of the thickness of the film. But what's interesting now is I think I'd be curious. I'm not, because this film, especially with the mattes and satins, those generally don't show a lot of the blemishes underneath the film. I think for if you don't really prep a hood or do much other than just kind of clean it and just kind of maybe try to level it a little bit, if there's kind of imperfections, it'll show much less with dry apply PPF that's 8 mil or thicker. That being said, of course, it's still maybe going to show. So what we recommend at the Wrap Institute, for the most part, for any kind of clear coat damage, what you want to do is you want to wet sand it down, generally down to 1200 to 1500 grit. Get that going, clean it, clay bar it, make sure it's good. If you really feel like not a lot of paint showing, there's not a lot of primer, you might want to just put a little bit of adhesive promoter on there. But especially with this type of film, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect like with the regular PVC color change film, but I would definitely recommend it for sure. So I hope that answers the question for that. Now coming back to the Wrap Institute library, really proud of this series. Kaio, who's kind of putting questions in my ear right now, he does our social media, and he's been going through these videos, and I can honestly say, and he said it to me too today, these are the best videos we ever had on the Wrap Institute in terms of information, in terms of quality. This is in our new studio. Reiner filmed these, Sergey filmed these. Really, really happy with the quality. So if you're not on the Wrap Institute right now, you are missing out, especially dialing in Dry Apply PPF as our best series, not only in terms of information, but in terms of videos. So definitely check it out. I highly recommend becoming a member. Very passionate about that. And now we move on to one of my favorite shows in the world, SEMA. So for those of you who don't know out watching right now, SEMA is the largest car show in the world. It takes place every year at Las Vegas, generally at the end of October, early November. Very happy that it's happening the week after Halloween this year, because a lot of people skip coming to the show because they want to take their kids out, which I totally understand. So SEMA, largest car show in the world. The whole West Hall is dedicated basically to wrapping right now, or a majority of it. It's PPF, color change, window tint, ceramic coatings, the whole thing. I'll be there in the Avery booth. Reiner will be in the Encoda booth with Paint is Dead doing stuff. The whole team will be there. It's going to be a great show this year. But in terms of dry apply PPF this year, I think this is the year of dry apply PPF. It's finally here at a level where we can actually talk about it and do this stream. I'm super excited about it. I hope you are too. So who's going to be there? Well, players I'm just talking about right now. And Esotec is going to be showing in their booth. I love doing this thumb up stuff. I'm going to see if I get a little rock on hand logic right now. See if I get a rock on in the background. Yeah. Oh, one more question before we talk about SEMA. Mm. Mm. So the question is right now, and again, I'm passing this on through Kaio in my ear. So the question is, so basically, if the cost of the material goes up, does the cost of the labor go up as well? It's a good question. I mean, I think the labor hour of the installer generally stays the same. I mean, in many ways, a lot of the manufacturers, 3M, Lumar, all these companies are saying, well, the install time is actually about the same for PVC color change film. I don't necessarily agree with that, because I think the cutting in the corners are a little bit more nuanced. I think you have to do more inlays per se. I think, especially if you have a white car, because the film's thicker, I think this makes a much more tricky install. I personally would say a dry apply PPF install, especially on a lighter color car, taking a white car, light gray car, and making it red or black or something like that, I think it's going to be 20 to 30% longer than, let's say, a standard color change install with PVC. But But I think the install, so you have to account for a little bit longer install time. So the install cost would go up just based on just time. But I don't think you would necessarily have to charge more as an installer per se. But keep in mind though, your mistakes are costly. Obviously if you're installing 3M and you screw up a bumper, you're basically out $600. So you have to really think about that. So factor those costs in for sure. And just also factor in, if you don't dial in dry apply PPF, you think that corner is good, it might pop out. And if it pops out and the customer wants it redone, or you take the material too far into a recessed area, your mistakes are going to be super costly. So again, you really have to dial it in. That's why getting a membership on the Wrap Institute and watching that video library, I mean, we're talking it's going to pay for your membership literally in 2 videos. So definitely check it out. So I hope that answers the question there. So now we get back to SEMA, and Esotech's going to be there. So definitely check out their film. Evolve is going to be showing their dry apply PPF on the hood and stuff like that. 3M obviously is going to be showcasing their dry apply PPF. Lumar, Daryl told me that Lumar will be showing it in their booth at SEMA, and there's another company that I can't say will be showing their dry apply PPF. So I think they're going to debut it at, I know they're going to debut it at SEMA. And that's a cool player in the industry. So you can see, I think by next year's SEMA, I think there's going to be 10, 15 companies who are showing dry apply PPF. But again, I'm very curious what happens to the price point. I mean, to see the price point from Skyfall, $1,000, including shipping to the United States, to 3M, which is $3,200, $3,300 for a roll. Granted, 25-year-old roll versus 18, but still, that's a giant price difference. And I generally think, for the most part, the quality of PU film really hard to separate. Do you know what I'm saying? I guess it depends on the adhesive and the workflow and stuff like that. But the margins between quality and, especially with those durability factors, is really kind of like kind of levels the field, which is interesting. And the last couple slides I want to talk about right now as we wrap this up right now. And again, if you have any questions, please ask now, because I will be kind of wrapping this up in the next 5 minutes or so. Is right now, in terms of material, what you do have to mind, I don't want to get too technical, but actually I do like to get technical because that's what we do at the Wrap Institute, is you have to understand that PU film for years and years and years, basically all clear PU film is extruded. So it's extruded and it's very rubbery and stuff like that. And it's generally, because it's extruded, the thinnest they can make extruded PU film is generally around 6.5, 7 mil, and everything else is thicker and on top. Starting about 2 years ago, we made a product video for Orful. And what we did is we made a video, and I'll show you a slide in a second, but basically we made the first ever cast PU digital print film. And why that was interesting now is because it was cast, because everything was extruded beforehand. It was thinner, which made it more pliable, which was cool. But yet, because it was thinner, it's still PU, it made it less protective because it didn't absorb rock chips as much. So again, Orful was the first one to come out with that, and they came out with it about 2 years ago. And following recently, and we're going to be making some videos for them in October, is Arlon just came out with what's called the Vital range. And these are cast PU films, which for me is very interesting because, again, they stretch in 4 ways. You can do different things with them. Much longer warranty. The warranty, I think, for the Vital film is like 12 years, which is insane, vertical. But keep in mind that there's a difference between cast PU and extruded right now. And I think in the market, I'm going to go back to this slide for a second. I think what you're going to see in the next few years is, I was always thinking Orful was going to come out with 970 as a cast PU film. I'm surprised they haven't. But now that Orful owns KPMF, I'm guessing maybe, and again, I'm just guessing, I'm just speculating, I haven't talked to them at all, that maybe the KPMF film will have a cast PU line out there. And why I like that now is you kind of get the benefits of the flex and the stretch. I think the price point will go back to kind of being what PVC cast film is right now, color change. And I think it'll be interesting. You have the benefits of better for the environment, better stretch, better durability, better warranty. So I think in the next 2 or 3 years, you're going to have to really pay attention if that film is extruded or if that film is cast, and then really pay attention to what the warranties are and what the benefits are. I think it's going to have a really interesting playing field. So it's a very interesting time in the wrap industry. Again, this was so exciting that we definitely want to stream this live to YouTube and to Facebook and stuff like that, and kind of share this with the bigger world. And I think what we're going to do more and more on the Wrap Institute is maybe once a month, maybe twice a month, we're going to do just a live stream on Facebook and YouTube just to kind of connect and kind of share some information about what's going on in the industry. And of course, we have the Wrap Institute website itself. The website, we launched the new website in August. We're really happy with the quality, and we have a lot of new features coming soon. And if you're not a member, I'd highly recommend becoming a member. I know people are like, well, I have to pay like 20 or 30 bucks a month. It's the best money you ever spent. You're already paying 20 bucks for Amazon to be entertained. And on the Rap Institute, we're definitely here. And Reiner and I are very passionate about sharing information. Gimas Brazil is also on the Rap Institute. He's one of the best rappers in the world. He's actually making some great videos right now at the center. These are for a new film coming out from APA, and so definitely look for him and those videos coming out soon. So that is kind of wrapping up this final live session right now. If you have any questions right now, feel free to throw them out there, either on the Rap Institute website or here. Next week, what we'll be doing is we'll be doing a streaming on interior wrapping film, and I'll be streaming here from my house in Amsterdam from this flat, and we'll be talking about interior wrapping film. I'm a huge fan of interior wrapping film, and a lot of people still don't quite get that jam. And I'm telling you, even if you're DIY, or if you're on the Rap Institute, you're a professional right now, interior wrapping film is where it's at. It's great for the environment. It's great for design. And it's also great for your marriage because right now, if you don't have to renovate a house, you just wrap it. I'm kind of joking here, actually. We renovated the top floor here. We have 3 floors in Amsterdam, and the second and third floor we renovated. It took about 6 or 7 weeks. Super dusty, super crazy. And my wife hated it. People in her house just hated the whole process. We wrapped this whole floor down here, didn't throw anything out except for one plank, and we wrapped it in 3 days, and it was amazing. So if you want to save your marriage, you wrap your house. If you want to run the risk of having a divorce, I would never want to get divorced, but you get my point. Rejuvenation for your house is absolutely amazing right now. I'm telling you, it's super, super cool in terms of the design. So I hope you tune in next week. This will be on the Rap Institute itself. And again, hope you appreciated this deep dive on dry apply PPF. I want to thank all the companies that helped with information, particularly Daryl from Lumar, again, my team at the Rap Institute, Kaio and Reiner for listening and for comments and stuff like that. Hope all of you enjoyed it. I hope if you have any questions about dry apply PPF, definitely come to the Rap Institute, shoot us some questions, and we'll be happy to answer. And as always, we hope that you have a great rest of the week, and we appreciate you for tuning in. And as always, never stop learning. Ciao, everyone. Have a great day.